Football is a simple game.
22 men chase a ball for 90 minutes.
And at the end,
a European team will win
World Cup 2018.
Hi, Ollie.
Hi, Danya. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you? Where are you right now?
Yeah, not bad. It's a nice little town here, Sochi, where the Russia game was last night. We're right on the promenade by the sea here. You can see a little beach there, a nice little pier. And of course, it's all right next to the stadium, the Fish Stadium here in Sochi, where Russia last night went out of the World Cup.
Ooh, there you go. Oh, that's when you got right, though. Finally they didn't let you down.
Yeah. Finally, they stopped, making a fool out of me.
Stop making you look bad. All right, so were you at the game yesterday?
Yeah, I was at the game yesterday. Incredible atmosphere there. The fans, they've been so great for the team throughout this tournament. The noise was just incredible. When they scored that extra time equaliser, no one could believe it. Everyone was going mad. A guy next to me in the media seats was jumping up and down so hard. His table was rocking back and forth. His chair went absolutely flying. I've never seen behaviour like it in a press box before. But that's the kind of emotion that this run has really given the Russian fans. So it was great to experience that one more time. But sadly for Russia, the journey's over.
Yeah, I mean, just watching a game on TV, it looked like a ridiculous atmosphere. I can't even imagine how it must have been to see it live. So that's pretty amazing that you were there.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the last Russia game as well at the Luzhniki Stadium, which is significantly bigger, like 20-odd thousand more seats there. And yet the noise in the Fish Stadium here was comparable. You know, it was amazing just how much noise 44,000 people managed to generate. So, yeah, hats off to the Russian fans. They've been fantastic.
Awesome. Okay, so I think let's take a look back at your predictions from the last round and see, you know, what happened. You did okay this time. You got like a 50%. So
not as good as in the round of 16, right? But it was okay.
It's
some
all
good,
right.
some bad.
Okay, so first game, Uruguay France. You had Uruguay winning. What do you think happened there?
Yeah, I did. They well, firstly, I think France played them quite well. They saw what was coming, what kind of threat they were up against with Uruguay. I thought it was a clever free kick from Griezmann that allowed Varane to open the scoring. And the keeper situation has often been a weakness for Uruguay. You know, Muslera is not perhaps at the level of players like Hugo Lloris, his opposite number in that game. And it was a pretty bad error. Uruguay, I think, weren't quite at the level they were at the previous couple of games. But yeah, you have to give credit to France. They performed better than I expected them to, and they dealt with the threat comfortably.
Yeah, honestly, I thought Uruguay just didn't look as sharp as they could have looked. Their pass accuracy was pretty poor. Just kind of disappointed by them. Also, the lack of Cavani, you can't count that out. So
of course, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he was so good in the couple of games prior to that France quarter-final. Yeah, being without him is such a huge loss. With someone like Suarez still on the pitch, you'd still think they could perhaps have created a bit more than they did. But this is a very good French defence as well. Let's not forget that. You know, Varane and Titi, great centre-backs there. Lloris in goal, very commanding. So, you know, it's a very good team that France have got there. Arguably the best team left in the tournament.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Okay, so Brazil, Belgium. What can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, again, I picked the wrong one. I backed the wrong horse here as well, didn't I? Yeah, firstly, full credit to Belgium. Because they were excellent in that game. I was particularly impressed with De Bruyne, not just for his absolute bullet of a goal, but also the way he carried the ball forward from Belgium's third into the middle and into Brazil's half. I thought that really took the pressure off the defence several times in the game. Likewise, Eden Hazard, the captain, I thought he did really well to keep the ball under pressure, frustrate the Brazilians, and again take the pressure off the defence, because when you've got waves of attacks coming at you like the Belgian defence did from such talented attackers, it's got to be difficult. So I think those guys, and Lukaku as well, did a really good job of taking the pressure off the defence a lot of times throughout the game. And of course, the goal from De Bruyne was just spectacular, wasn't it? A great counter and an absolutely brilliant hit from him. Has to be said as well, though, Belgium rode their luck a couple of times. The chance from Thiago Silva is the main one I'm thinking early on. That could have gone anywhere. The ball just hit him, and it could have bounced anywhere, but it came back off the post. Bad luck for Brazil. The rub of the green for Belgium, and they used it brilliantly. You know, sometimes in these games you need a bit of luck. Belgium got it, but they used it as well.
Yeah, that's how football is, right? I think also, like you said, De Bruyne, I think in this tactical switch, this new position, like the false nine, allowing him to have more freedom to attack, I think it just really, really was something that paid off. So, pretty great. I think Belgium, they
absolutely.
did well and they
Such
deserved it.
blow.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, we had Belgium going forward. Now, it would have been nice to have England last. But, okay, so Sweden and England, you got that one actually spot on, score and everything. So, is that because you're English? You knew it was happening.
Danya, I'm a journalist. I'm, of course, totally neutral.
Go on,
Oh, yeah, that's what the people think, too, online.
Straight face saying it. Look, no, I thought England had a stronger team than Sweden. Sweden very well organised, very solid defensively, but I thought that England had the players to overcome that, and that's kind of how it panned out. A set piece again. England are just incredible from set pieces. That header from Maguire, an absolute bullet header. With the delivery that they've got from the likes of Trippier and Young and so on. There's always opportunities, and they've clearly, under Gareth Southgate, worked out their strategy for set pieces and how to make the most of them, and it's paid dividends so far. It's proved to be a really clever strategy. The game went pretty much as I was expecting, so I'm pretty pleased with that prediction.
Yeah. I also heard, actually, that Southgate spends a lot of time watching other sports to plan for his set pieces and how he approaches that. So I think that, could show just the dedication that Southgate and this England side has to, having success this time around.
Totally, yeah. It just shows a different type of thinking. I remember reading a story about Gareth Southgate going to an NBA game because he said... it's always 5-on-5. You've got a lot of defenders in a small area around the hoop there, and still players always manage to find ways to get around those defenders and find little pockets of space to score. So I think that's a sign of a different style of thinking in this England setup. I can't imagine Sam Allardyce, for example, having done that. But Gareth Southgate really seems to have found the right way of approaching this tournament, the right way of approaching international football generally, I think. And, it's really paying off.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so England will be in the next round against Croatia. Now, you actually had that as 1-1, but okay, it was 2-2 with PKs, Croatia going through. So that was a good prediction, and you're at the stadium, so... Yep. Tell us a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. Not about the stadium, but the game in general, what you think.
Yeah. Croatia, in the first 5 minutes, looked very, very nervous. Neither of these sides... Croatia had played in one World Cup semi-final before, but back in '98, so none of these players were there. Yeah. Russia had never been in a World Cup quarter-final as Russia. The Soviet Union were in the quarter-finals, but not Russia. So they both looked like the occasion might be getting to them at various times. Croatia, after that first 5 minutes, did then really get their foot on the ball, and they played the better football for most of the game. But what a goal from Cheryshev to open the scoring. Although Croatia did fight back, get the equaliser, and then in extra time, then what looked like it was going to be the winner. The Russia team just had so much fight in them that they weren't going to let it go right up to the last minute. It was not the prettiest of games over the course of the 120 minutes, but just in terms of the atmosphere, in terms of the way you could see both teams fighting tooth and nail to get the result, it was really quite engrossing to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Watching it on TV, like I said, amazing. But I have to be honest with you, I was a little bit disappointed with Croatia. It was almost like we were just waiting for them to get to the next gear, and they just haven't got there yet. Because they just have so much quality. Yeah, it never happened,
did it? Modric and Rakitic just didn't really seem to hit sort of full speed throughout the game. That was a bit disappointing. This Croatia side is very talented. It perhaps wasn't among the favourites at the start of the tournament, but there were a lot of good players in that team. And I did expect a bit more from them against Russia. Although obviously I predicted the draw after extra time, so wasn't expecting too much more. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed with the way Croatia performed. I think if they perform like that against England, they'll get beaten.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to what we think is going to happen in the next round. So our first matchup here is huge, France versus Belgium. What are you thinking for that game?
Yeah, a lot of people are already saying this is essentially the World Cup final, that the winners of that game are going to go on to be the champions, and it's kind of hard to argue against. They are the two most talented sides left by distance, I would say. I'm finding this really tough to call. I think I've been actually more impressed with Belgium at this tournament than France. I don't really feel like, apart from maybe for spells of that Argentina game, I don't feel like France have hit top gear through this tournament, whereas Belgium have shown a few periods where they've just absolutely hammered the opposition, where they've ripped them to shreds. Based on that, I'm actually a little bit tempted to go for Belgium in this game, even though I think France is perhaps the slightly more talented side. I think Belgium will feel very confident after knocking out Brazil. After their comeback against Japan as well, they showed that even when the chips are down, they can turn it on, play some great football. They scored the best team goal at the tournament as well with that 93rd, whatever it was, minute winner against Japan. So I'm going to go for a close Belgium win. I'm going to go 2-1 Belgium.
Ooh, okay. Okay. And I just have to ask, what do you think the key will be for Belgium to win this game? Especially with somebody like, Kante in that holding defensive role who's really good at breaking up counterattacks, and Belgium, a team who, really thrives in the counterattack play. Could that possibly be something that we should watch out for, or what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think that battle between Kante and the Belgium attacking midfielders is going to be the key to it all. The thing is, of course, Belgium have a couple of different outlets. They've got De Bruyne, but if De Bruyne is being man-marked, they can give the ball to Hazard as well. And we know that Paul Pogba doesn't perhaps work so well in a defensive role. He's more kind of the player who likes free rein to get forward a lot. That could just be what gives Belgium the upper hand, Kante can't mark, as much as he likes running as good as he is, he can't mark two players of the quality of De Bruyne and Hazard. So I think that could just be what gives Belgium the advantage, that there's just too many good players there for France's defensive players to handle.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so next game.
Street cleaner thing.
Okay, that's what the noise was. All right. Okay, so our next matchup we have here, after the streets finished being cleaned back there, is England against Croatia. So, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, it's another close match to call. I think on paper you'd say it's a 50-50 probably. Both teams have some very talented players, and either side, I think if their players really fire, will win the game. The question is, can Croatia find that top gear that they haven't found in the last couple of games against Russia and Denmark? And will they be able to cope with England's set pieces, I think is what it comes down to. Based on the last couple of games, I'm going to have to go with an England win for this one. I think if the midfielders, if Henderson can keep a close eye on Modric in particular, then that will stifle a lot of Croatia's attacking play. And I think the deliveries that England get from the fullbacks in particular, or the wingbacks, better said, the threat that they have with Kane, the threat we've seen now, Dele Alli getting off the market this World Cup, and the centre-backs too, John Stones, Harry Maguire, both scoring at this tournament. I think they're just going to have the edge over Croatia, but I think it'll be tight again. I'm going to go with 2-0 again.
2-0?
I think England win 2-0 again.
Okay.
But then it depends. If we see the Croatia that turned up against Argentina, then it'll be a completely different story.
Yeah.
Because that team was so slick. And that would be very tough for England to cope with. And England have, of course, only kept the one clean sheet at this World Cup so far in the last game against Sweden. So Croatia definitely have the players, if they can turn it on, to do it. But I'm going to go with England 2-0.
Yeah, so a lot of people have been saying that England has not really had that big of a test to get to where they are in the teams that they've been playing. We're not trying to take anything away from any teams that they've played, but Croatia, a lot of people are saying, will be their first real test. And they could possibly see, maybe less possession and coming up against the midfield, like Rakitic and Modric, if they're firing, will be difficult for them. So how do you think they will be able to cope, or do you think they'll be able to cope, if Modric and Rakitic are firing at their top gear?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little harsh on Colombia in particular to say that England haven't had any real tests yet. Colombia have got players like Falcao and Quintero. I know James was missing for the game, but they've got a lot of talented players, and the way they played with such aggression was, a real test for England. Likewise Sweden, very organised side. It was a different kind of test for England to overcome. So I think it's a little harsh to say this is England's first real test. But yeah, absolutely. Modric, Rakitic, both very good players. And of course, let's not forget the likes of Perisic and Mandzukic as well. This is a very talented Croatia side. But they haven't really fired in the last couple of games. Kramaric scored yesterday, for example, but I thought other than that, he was not good. I found him a little disappointing. So that's kind of what I'm going on here, that Croatia haven't fired in the last couple of games. They've also played 120 minutes and had penalties twice in a row now with the round of 16 in the quarterfinal. They must be getting tired. The next game is in just a couple of days' time. That's going to be a real battle for them just to be at full fitness. England, of course, had it just in the 90 minutes with the quarterfinals, so I think England will be a bit fresher, and that also could be what makes the difference. Yeah,
definitely. Okay, well, we have your two predictions here, so we'll hold you to them again like last time. We'll see how you do. And I guess we'll let you get going now. So I'm going to say thank you, and we'll catch you the next time after this round.
Thank you.
See you later, Ali.
See ya.